Hello and welcome to the Transverse Line, where we make contact with people on and off the court through Victoria's premier netball competition. My name's Angela Banbury. Thanks so much for joining us. We're here at the State Netball Centre, packed house, 6 games going on. It is all happening. So I'm going to grab a coach, player, bench official, umpire, maybe even a commentator to have a chat and talk about their netball journey. So join us on the Transverse Line and let's have a little bit of fun with netball. Welcome back to the Transverse Line. I'm joined by Shani Layton. Welcome.
Thank you.
It is so good to have you.
Yeah, good to be here.
Thank you. Now, obviously coaching the Saints 23s.
Yes.
This is amazing to have you in the coaching gig of the world in B&L. Tell us a little bit about why you're doing it.
To be honest, I never thought that I would be here. Like, I never saw coaching as a career, or I just didn't think that I'd want to get into it, to be honest. And then I started working at MLC and Q at the school probably about 5 years ago, and nearly 6 years ago now. And I loved it. And I think I got so serious in my netball journey, and it was all about winning and competing and being professional.
Really?
Really? Could you tell? Could you? I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I was coaching these kids and I was like, oh my God, why are you guys taking it so seriously? Like, I think you can play netball and have fun as well. And it really gave me my love of netball back. So that was awesome. And then Simone was like, hey, do you want to come in and help the Vixens? I was like, no. She was like, come in. If you like it, you can stay. If you don't, that's fine. But just come in and see what you think. And I'm so grateful to her because, she gave me the love of professional netball back. And I didn't realise how much I'd missed it. And that whole Vixens crew and culture are so beautiful and so warming and so hardworking. They are everything that I love about sport. They have fun, but they work hard as well. And I just love those girls. So then I was like, well, maybe I do want to get involved. So I was kind of just waving around, seeing how it was all going. And then I got a call from England and they said, Shans, do you want to come and coach with us? And I thought, it's a bit random, but why not?
Why not?
And then Leah called me from Saints and was like, Shans, and because of England, I was like, I better get my advanced coaching. Leah from Saints called and said, do you want to coach 23s? And I thought, well, what a great pathway. So I literally do MLC from prep up through 23s, help with the Vixens every now and again, and now England. So I do the whole spectrum, and I love it. I love being able to see it all at every single level.
Yeah. And how special that those kids at that level get to experience the level that you have been at and that you can pass on your knowledge to that level. Yeah. And as you said, right through to an international team.
They don't care. They don't know that I played. So they just see me as big, loud, annoying
Their
Shani.
Parents do.
Yeah, their parents do.
Their mum does.
But I think this 23s age group I am really enjoying. It's a challenge because it's that beautiful in between of they're past the basics, but they're not yet at that high performance that they know all the structures and patterns and everything as well. So for me, I'm kind of, even as a coach, finding my feet this year around how to find that happy middle ground with them.
When you say that though, and a lot of the things with the Vixens is all about the basics, do the basics well.
Yes.
So how do you drill that in to the team as well as all the intricacies of netball in terms of the patterns and the set plays and all those sorts of things, and then still ensure that the basics are done right?
Well, the basics are just a non-negotiable. You have to do the basics right. It doesn't matter what you're doing.
That, kids, basics.
Basics always. It can be the warm-up, it can be a drill, it can be long court, but you're just making sure that they're hitting those basics and that you're pulling them up when they're not doing it. That happens at every level. I do it with preps, I do it with 23s, Simone does it at Vixens, Jess does it at England. So it's about not accepting poor behaviours, because the more you accept and let poor behaviours go, the more they can creep into your game.
Yeah. Love to hear that, because the kids get very bored when you talk about you've got to do the basics well. They look at you as if to say, oh, do we really have to? Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
So how do you make sure that you keep that, I don't know, what's the right, fun or engaging, that the basics are done well?
So you do the fun stuff, and if they don't do the basics well, I make it boring and I make them do the basics. I'm sorry, if you can't turn and throw, we're actually going to get into threes and turn and throw. And if you don't want to do this, then do it right, because what I'm hearing is that you don't like it, but what I'm saying is you can't do it. So start complaining to me when you can do it.
I love this.
So I'm very honest, I'm very blunt. They don't, my 423s girls, oh my gosh. and I don't get angry. I don't believe in getting angry.
Yeah.
I believe in people taking their own responsibility for their own careers, and if they want to step up to it, they will, and if they don't, they won't.
Yep.
So I leave it in their hands. I give them the option. These are what basics are. This is what I need you to do. If you do them well, we get to do fun stuff. If you don't, we do boring stuff.
Yep.
So they get to choose their own journey. So you always want to give them the choice. You never want to take over because then they lose interest. Doesn't matter what level it's at.
Yep.
But if you allow them to engage and choose what they want to do, and then they do it well, then they get to do more fun stuff.
This is brilliant. And have you seen the progression of the Saints 23s take that on board and develop?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I've just seen them hold themselves to a higher account and their ability to hold a higher intensity for a longer period of time, which is something that's really hard to teach, especially with rolling subs these days. Once upon a time, you were just expected to be out there for 15 minutes.
Run 15 minutes.
Yeah, just go. Whereas now, if players are running out of steam, like we do pull them off. So it's a really fine line between switches or how long you'll kind of leave them out there for in regards to that side of things. But yeah, it's just, I've seen growth in them, in their intensity, their will, and their effort to want to apply what they're learning at training in the game. And for me, that is growth.
I was going to say, what's the satisfaction level of that?
Yeah, like it is very satisfying. It's also disappointing at times when you're like, but then also I need to reflect on what can I do better to help get the most out of them, because it's not just about structures and set plays, it's about how do you get the best out of each individual, and I'm still learning that part, I would say.
Yeah. Talk about you played state league here, it wouldn't have been indoors like this, and you wouldn't have done it for...
It was 2008.
Okay,
I was still here.
Right, okay. And what was the structure then? So it hadn't become the VNL that we know it as it is now? It was just before that?
Yeah, it was. Yeah. So it was earlier VNL, but it was still so it was Championship and Div 1.
Yep. And you played for...
Oh my God, I played for everyone. So I started with Peninsula, but they were only Div 1, not Champ.
Yep.
So then I got moved over to Palladians. And then from Palladians, I moved over to Monash.
Okay.
So yeah, with I think Shane O'Sullivan set up that club. So
and he's still here with the Hawks.
I know.
We love Shane.
I know, we love Shane.
Yeah.
And so I won a premiership with Monash which I don't think exists anymore. Oh, Hawks. So Monash Hawks. Yep. So with them in 2008. So I was with the Vixens that year, but I wasn't playing. So then I was playing VNL every week.
Nice one.
So back then, even if you were in the 12 and not getting a game, you still played VNL.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then what before that? Obviously with Kestrels.
Yes. Yep. So Kestrels 03 to 05.
Yep.
It was hectic. They didn't have player loading back in the day. And
no rolling subs.
So it was full-time training with the Kestrels. Yep. I think 2 court works a week, 2 gym sessions a week, plus the game. If I was in the 12, then I was travelling with them.
Wow.
If I was in the 12 but not playing or in this, because there was 16 back then, I would also have to go to state league training on top of that, I would also play state league on top of that.
Oh, wow.
So I was doing probably 6 sessions a week, and then between November and March, I also had state on a Sunday, and we also did nationals. And so I used to, I can say this because we've fixed it now, but I openly used to train for 30 days straight without a break. So myself, Maddie Brown, Shay Brown, who else? Ashley Howard.
You've obviously come out the other side of it quite well.
Yes. But it was pretty hardcore back in the day because they used to say you don't have to train full pace, but at the same time, it's like, well, you're not going to go to a netball training and train at 50% if everyone else is 100%. So we just did it.
Yeah. And you would have had Jane Searle?
Yes.
And now you've got Jane Searle?
I know.
What's
she
that
always
been
ropes
like?
me back in.
Yeah. What's that like?
I love her. Yeah, she's so smart as a coach. I love her brain. She can just see things differently and she sees things so quickly. I just love learning from her.
Yeah. So now you talked about the Vixens. It's still involved there?
Yes.
Yeah. So what goes on with the Vixens?
So I'm like an in and out specialist coach. So I help out.
It's kind of the best coach to be, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Well, it was for me when I was coming back into it all because I wasn't ready to kind of get full into it. I just retired from football and needed a bit of a break. Can watch a bit of footage, can help out at training, but always the basics. You never go away from the basics with the defenders. So giving them some insight around who they're coming up against and all the rest of it. And then obviously Simone is defence specialist as well. So it's always fun learning from her and working with her as well.
Yeah, she's still got it, hasn't she?
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah. Not long to go for the rest of the season. There's, I think, 5 or so games to go for VNL. What's the rest of the season look like for the Saints? Saints? What do you need to get out of the rest of the season?
For me, I think I just want to see consistency. So we've got really good patches throughout the game. So we got to within 3 tonight in the third quarter, but then we went down by 12. So when we're good, we're really, really good. But then we just have some lapses. So for me, I just want us to be able to stay in the game for a bit longer and be more consistent with that. But then also, we have the mindset to be aggressive, but just making smarter decisions when we're tired, I think would be a good growth area for us.
Yeah. Well, let's hope we see the Saints move up the ladder. Let's see, hopefully you stick around with the V&L program, whatever happens with the Vixens, so be it. But we love having you side of court, wherever that is, back in Victoria and back with V&L.
Oh, thank you. It's good to be back.
A little gift for you.
Oh, stop it. I love presents.
A couple of socks and a netball. You always need a netball.
Never have enough socks. Oh my, and a netball.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh my God, I love it.
Shani, thanks so much for joining us on the Transverse Line. It has been lovely to reminisce about your netball and then talk about your current journey and all that with the Saints.
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome back to the Transverse Line. I'm joined by Georgia Rajic. Did I get that right?
You did. Thank you so much for having me.
What's it rhyme with?
Magic.
Rhymes with magic. How could I get it wrong? Georgia is one of the commentators here at the V&L. She's been doing it for a few years now. How many years?
This is my 5th season, believe it or not. I started back in start of 2021. It was obviously an abridged season because of COVID, but hey, it's crazy. I look at my stats for how many games I've commentated. I've done 200 as of last week. So it's been
200.
200.
Did we make a banner? Did we have balloons?
I'm going to have to run through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I did my 150th in netball specifically probably around a month ago as well. But it all started here in V&L down on, technically it was court 2. Jane Cook scored a goal after the final whistle to draw the game. So
I love how you remember this.
You can never forget your first.
Well, that is true. That is true. First netball game that you commentate, of course. Yeah. Okay, now netball is not what only you do in terms of commentary. We'll get to that a little bit because I'm sure you're very excited about things at the moment in that world. But give us a bit of an idea as to what happens with netball in terms of rocking up here Wednesday night. What's the procedure?
Well, it always starts a little bit earlier than just when I get to the State Netball Centre. There's not many stats available for netball specifically with Netball Connect, but I actually get all the results. I'm building a database of every single V&L result.
Queen of spreadsheets. Queen of spreadsheets.
So I always do look at, how these teams have versed each other in previous matchups. I look at the minutes played, the goals scored, do I seeing any trends? I've started building something which is a quarter by quarter comparison for teams throughout the season, seeing that some quarters they're lacking, some quarters they perform really strong in.
I think the coaches would love this database.
I got told that apparently a couple of coaches, so I might just start, offering it as a side hustle. But I would say probably, even though, I'm doing so many V&L, I'm still probably doing at least 2 to 3 hours of prep per Wednesday night.
Amazing. Now, obviously, that's not the only netball that you commentate, so there's another little gig as well.
Yeah, this week's probably the best example of what my life's like. So tonight I'm obviously here for V&L. Friday night I'm commentating the NPLW, which is State League in soccer. Saturday I'm doing Super Netball for SEN, and then I'm driving across to Waverley and doing Super Netball Reserves, and then on Sunday I'm doing 2 Super Netball Reserves games.
Amazing.
If my voice stays and my brain stays by the end of Sunday night, I'll honestly be surprised.
Have you got, is it butter menthols? Is it a little snip of brandy? What's the secret?
Keeping my neck warm. So Friday night I'm going to be outside in the elements. So definitely wearing turtlenecks, scarves. Benadryl cough thing. Pete Laser got me onto that one. Very good. And
shout out to Pete.
Shout out Pete. But also just not talking when I don't have to, which is the hard part.
I'm sure, there wouldn't be many people happy with that because we love listening to you, what you've got to say. Where did all this come from? What has been the attraction to commentating netball?
Well, I joke about it, but it started because Teo Palazzeri, who's one of the commentators for the A-League, we've been going back and forth on Twitter for a couple of years, and he got asked to do V&L commentary in 2021. Obviously, we knew each other mainly through Twitter, and he said, hey, X now. He's like, try this, and I was like, I've never done this before, and I did, and I fell in love, and now 5 years later, I'm commentating the A-Leagues and Super Netball for SEN. Who knew?
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Now, you're a tragic netballer yourself. When I say tragic, as in
not good.
Not that you're not good, but you love the sport.
Obsessed. And I think that's probably there's a lot of this that is unpaid labour that goes into it. And I think, VNL alone, I do 3 hours. I average probably at least 10 for any super netball game I do, and then factor in reserves. And, I genuinely love doing this because it's given me access to champ data and I can spend a little bit of time. It's not cool. I'm not cool.
You're real nerdy.
I'm real nerdy, but it means I get to do that and I get to watch these games. And I can't believe, how many years people would have paid me to shut up, to stop talking about netball, and here I am now getting paid to talk about it.
Paid to talk about it. Now, they say obviously the score bench has the best seat in the house, but often the commentator has a good seat, except for probably where it is up there.
We're up in the nest tonight, which is a bit difficult. I still think the best seat I've ever had was in the Super Netball semi-final between Vixens and Giants when I was on the Vixens mop squad and I was on the corner. I think that was the best seat.
Didn't have a microphone, no.
I touched the ball before the first goal was scored, so I counted that. Okay. But yeah, usually we've got some pretty good spots. It does depend on where you are. Court 11 for VNL, that's the best one to commentate from. We're up high. We call it the bird's nest. This one might be a little bit harder. I probably do need to invest in some binoculars.
Yeah, and a jacket on most courts.
I do have a jacket. I'm very tempted to start bringing blankets to now that we're hitting June. It's pretty cold.
We'll shout out to Jenny Dole to sort of make sure that she can get a blanket
Jenny.
up into those spots. Now, you mentioned your other love, your other sport in terms of football, soccer. Tell us a little bit about what goes on there.
Yeah, so I have just finished my 3rd season of calling the A-League Women, which is the highest level of football for women in this country. I also got to call 2 Young Matildas games for the Australian Pacific Odds Series, which also happened at netball at the same time. But I did the Young Matildas, which is the Australian under-20s, against the under-20s of Thailand, Vanuatu and Solomon Islands senior teams.
Amazing.
And then obviously I do State League here in Victoria, which is called NPLW. But it's good. I love it so much. And I followed the Matildas around during the World Cup. I've been around before the World Cup. There's footage of me going to games in 2016 and stuff. But I love my sports, and my favourite thing about them is they mostly run in opposite seasons too, so that way it doesn't cross over too much. But yeah, it's been great, and it's just I have loved to watch the progression of what's happened in football in the country in the past 5 years.
Yeah, and obviously with the Socceroos winning their way into the World Cup, it's a good time.
Absolutely.
Matildas have been winning.
Can't say I got up at 4 a.m. to watch that this morning. I knew from the get-go that wasn't a game that you want to probably lose that much sleep over. But hey, we're through. I'm so excited. The World Cup, in 2022, was such a magical time. And you know what? Popper's got results as the senior men's coach. Who knows? And we've got a Women's Asian Cup actually happening in Australia in March next year.
This is what I love. You know this stuff.
I know. Yeah.
Last question. Who's going to win the VNL 2 divisions? Give us the 23s and give us the champ.
I think it's going to be. I reckon City West are going to be invincible this season. Yeah. When I was doing my quarter stats a couple of weeks ago ahead of round 11, they had only lost 3 quarters, drawn 1, won 36. There's been 2 close games between them and Hawks and Bendigo. And Bendigo, that's been really the closest 2 games. Yep. But the margins they're winning by at the moment.
Who do you think they're going to play then?
I think, as much as Burundara Express have been demolishing the teams that have gotten close to Hawks, I think they're going to fail at that semi-final level, and then we're going to see probably, I think it'll be a Hawks-Falcons final, controversially, and then 23...
So Battle of the Birds?
Yeah, the Bird Bee.
Battle of the Birds in the champ. Give us the 23s.
23s, well, Melbourne Uni Lightning have been doing pretty well, and then so have Blaze and Hawks. Yeah. So I think, Hawks won last year. I think it's going to be a Lightning Blaze final in the end, and I reckon it's going to be probably Blaze.
Yeah. So Fire.
Yeah.
Birds.
Firebirds.
Firebirds.
It's all Queensland here.
Yeah. Who would have thought? Georgia Rajic rhymes with magic. You're never going to forget that because you're going to see lots of you soon. I have no doubt that you are going to take on this commentary gig, the emceeing stuff that you've been doing. It's an absolute pleasure to watch your journey, and I know that you're going to do great, or continue to do great things and succeed in everything that you do. So thank you for joining us on the Transverse Line. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Ange.
Thanks to DHM Talent Management, we'll whip through the scores of round 13 of the VNL, and we'll start with a close one in the Championship Division with Burundara Express, a 1-goal winner over the North East Blaze 53-52. Geelong Cougars not quite good enough for Hawks Netball 45-56. City West Falcons continue their winning ways 78 to the Wilson Storage Southern Saints 43. Western Warriors get a win over Melbourne University Lightning 62-58. Casey Demons over their neighbours Peninsula Waves 76-58, and Bendigo Strikers easily account for Gippsland Stars 69-46. In the 23s, Burundara Express went down to the undefeated North East Blaze 47-64. Geelong Cougars just not quite good enough for Hawks Netball 53-57. City West Falcons another win over the Wilson Storage Southern Saints 58-46. Western Warriors heavy losers to the Melbourne University Lightning 48-72. Casey Demons another win over the Peninsula Waves 59-51. And Bendigo Strikers rounded out 64 against the Gippsland Stars 42. Of course, those scores are brought to you by DHM Talent Management. That concludes another episode of the Transverse Line. Thanks so much for joining us. Of course, a big thank you to our sponsors, both DHM Talent Management and Energetic, for all your support. And how good were our two guests tonight? Both Shani Layton, amazing, just absolutely amazing to have her on. And of course, Georgia Rajic. Remember, it rhymes with magic. So again, a big thank you to both of those for telling us their stories around the VNL and everything else they do. Of course, we hope you can come back to the Transverse Line next week, and until then, I hope you have a little bit of fun through netball.